have a moment of silence. Memorial Day is on Monday, and we are honored to have a two retired military here. But
Two veterans.
Two veterans.
There you go.
So we're going to keep all of those that are in our armed forces in our thoughts and prayers, and those in public safety as well. And we'll talk more about that. So right now, let's rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, Priority Carol. Which way am I starting today?
I'll start. Well, we've had a busy week with the opioid epidemic, addressing it. On Saturday, I attended the Say No to the Dope event, sponsored by Tim Weber, showing public awareness that we're well aware of the crisis amongst us. Tuesday, Brian DiLeonardo and his staff put together the opioid vigil, which is always very emotional for me, having lost my daughter. And my colleagues were there sharing the experience, as always, every year. It's important for us to remember those who have suffered and lost their lives to this epidemic. You guys here presently today are on the front line fighting that battle, which leads me up to last night. We honored a lot of you guys for showing your support of the community, being on the front line addressing the opioid epidemic, and I am sincerely grateful for everything you all do. So thank you very much.
I guess I've been attending a lot of FFA banquets lately, Man Valley, Westminster, I think Winter's Mills coming up, South Carroll was last night, and Key coming up, I think next week. Is that right, Mr. Wance?
Yeah, that's right.
I think. Okay, so anyway, there was a lot of young people being honored for what they're doing, and you realize there's about 2% of our population involved in production agriculture that basically provide food for all of us. But for every person involved, there's about 20 people in support services for each one of those, whether it's IT, nutrient management plans, all those type things going on out here. And about 60,000 jobs nationwide that need people with agricultural knowledge that we're not filling at the present time. So just be aware that we are in an abundant country, and we have food. Nobody, especially as I look on the board, nobody looks like they're starving. But as long as we keep, I was wondering how long that takes to sink in. But keep in mind that industry is out there, and it is vital to our existence as this country, and I really appreciate what they're doing. On the other note, we do have Memorial Day coming up, and Commissioner Rothstein and I were at the Veterans Council on Tuesday, and one of the things I'm really pushing is to tell the story to the young people in this country about what has happened. Aside from the people who have given their life, what is happening, the people now that are still in existence here, tell about their story, what they did in the military, how it happened, what actually happened to them, and what they've gone through. And you'll be surprised what people have done, where they've been, what they've seen, and what is happening. But it's very important that we get that message out and tell that story to the younger generation out here, that they appreciate what everybody's done for them and where we're going. So please take a moment Monday, Memorial Day, put down the hot dog or hamburger for a few minutes and tell some of the young ones what's going on about our veterans.
Would you listen to my weekly? Told everybody to put their cheeseburger down on Monday.
So it's a good segue. Again, Commissioner Weaver and I attended the Veterans Advisory Council. A lot of discussion. It is just so much enthusiasm from the community on how we can serve our veteran community and their families, from transportation to homes to wellness and resiliency. So very appreciative. One of our team that facilitates that from Citizen Services, but more importantly than that is the volunteers that are part of that commission or that council, along with all those that attend. In telling the story, I do have a flyer that I'm going to try to get out, and we'll push. It's the Veterans History Collection Day that our channel 19 and 23 will be televising. It's interviews are June 8th on Saturday, and it's an opportunity for veterans of all ages and of all times and services that they serve to tell their story. And it is a great way to collect those stories and share them on our local television, but also then share them amongst each other. The last piece about the veterans, as Commissioner Wentz shared, Memorial Day, and we all have the same sentiment, and that is to remember those that have given their ultimate sacrifice in defending our country, but also for me, it's more important than why they want to defend our country, and that's to give us the freedoms to have those hot dogs and hamburgers, and to be able to have those barbecues. So it's to embrace the opportunity to celebrate an opportunity to be with family, friends, and community, just understanding why we're able to do that. That's the message that I like to share about about Memorial Day. It's take the opportunity to remember and honor, but the best way to honor is to stay as a community with family and friends. The last piece I just want to share quickly, Priority Carol, is our budget. We are going to a work session this afternoon with the intent on dotting the I's and crossing the T's and making the best decisions that we can make from the community's input and from our own staff on how the budget should be aligned to take care of our community. It should be a good work session with the intent to adopt a budget next week. But that to me is the priority that we have up here to serve our county the best we can. So, that's
Okay, I attended the Partnership for Healthier Carroll County. I think Commissioner Boucher and Commissioner Wentz were there as well. This is a partnership between Carroll Hospital and Carroll County Health Department, and basically any other group that wants to work toward making Carroll County a healthier place. They put a survey out every couple of years. They ask what the priorities are. And the top of the survey, I think the last survey, was mental health and drug addiction. And so they work for ways to try to help these problems out, basically. So it's been 20th anniversary. It's a tremendous partnership. Also, I went Troop 483. I have to mention this. Went to Troop 483, Eagle Scout Court of Honor. They had 7 Eagle Scouts in one day come through. It's the most I've ever been to. I've been doing this for a while now. And actually, it's not a record because I checked into that. It's not a record, but 7 in one day is just, it's unbelievable.
It's phenomenal.
It was, so I just had to mention that. Troop 483 is doing something tremendously correct as a Boy Scout troop, having 7 Eagle Scouts, at one time. That's all I have.
Yeah, that was good. Thank you for going to that, by the way. I'm supposed to be there and couldn't make it, so. Myself and Commissioner Rothstein were in Sykesville the other night to honor Gary Milliken, who's retiring from Carroll Lutheran Village. Gary has been an incredible advocate in Carroll for our assisted living senior population. So we're going to miss him. He is riding off into the southern part of the East Coast sunset, and we thank him for everything that he has done. Fallen Heroes was Friday at the Maryland Safety Training Center in Sykesville. So that's always a pretty humbling event down there. So I want to thank all those that put that together. Visa was last Saturday. And, I got to say, for all of us that were there, Perry, I don't know who else in the room was there. Norm, I know you were there. What an amazing memorial service, which started the day off tremendous. And I think the most amazing part, besides the fact that Pastor Rodney Gross can sing with the best of them and brought the house down, was the fact that the president of ESA, Don Fair, who was injured in an accident 2 Saturdays ago, came in the wheelchair up the aisle during the memorial service. So I guess that goes to how lucky we are to live where we are with the fact that we have shock trauma right down the road, and we take that for granted. It's the only place in the world that has that, and that's just amazing to see Don back in at least home. I mean, he's got a tough road ahead, and we've talked about that. But it was interesting to see him. Eric, you were there too, so that was.
And Don maintained his sense of humor. That was very humbling
Yeah.
of him.
Career Tech Awards have been going on every night this week.
Every night.
So we've been, our schedules are whacked. I mean, we got graduations coming up, so there's that. I spent the day yesterday in Annapolis with, I started in Baltimore with the FEMA regional group, so then went to Annapolis for the state EMS awards. I'm going to say this to our volunteer fire companies. Make sure when you get those awards, pass this on to your folks. You need to put in for those awards. There was no one there from Carroll that got an award. And I know we had some interesting things that went on EMS-wise this year, the past year. So pay attention when MIMS reaches out for those Star of Life awards. I know there's folks out there that are deserving of being recognized down there. So make sure you pass that on to everybody. Met with Secretary Grumbles and Secretary Riccio on the day before for the GMAC meeting. So there's just a ton of stuff going on. So, and with that aside, certainly we're going to honor our veterans, honor those that didn't come back from all of the campaigns that have gone on for years. And I keep reminding folks, we've got the oldest Memorial Day parade in the country. In the country. Y'all got that? So in my weekly message when he brought up, I told everybody, put your cheeseburgers down for about an hour and come to Westminster and watch that Memorial Day parade. If you don't want to do anything else, at least come out and watch that at 10 a.m. on Monday morning, because that's a fantastic event. It gets bigger and bigger every year. They're standing typically 12 deep on Main Street.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just amazing. So that in itself
Just wanna
is
share-
incredible, that we have the oldest one in the country.
If you want to get that cheeseburger, after the parade, the American Legion is open to the public, and it's having a barbecue.
Right.
And they're honoring, again, our veterans, but it's right there, so you go from that parade, right across the street, or right, a block away to the American Legion, and they'll be cooking those cheeseburgers for you.
I think
So-
almost every American Legion is having a
Yeah.
picnic
Yep.
and outing.
Cheeseburgers.
And
Hey, just saying.
on a
Yeah.
brighter note, all you Finksburg residents, tonight at 7 o'clock, Finksburg Library,
that's good.
Finksburg Area Planning Council has a fantastic program. So if you want to find out what's happening in Finksburg, come on out.
Are you speaking?
Yes.
Okay, real quick, since it's EMS week and all things associated with that, I want to just give a shout out to the Foolproof Acting Troupe. That's led by Paul Zimmerman, and I know that all of you have seen the things that they have done, especially with the Heroin Kills and the Heroin Still Kills films and all of that. They were recently given an award at the 3rd annual CIT Awards in Annapolis for, I don't know what they got, but they got an award down there for everything that they have done in our area for that. And also a shout out to Sergeant Adam Laser of the Westminster Police Department, who was also awarded the Officer of the Year Award in Annapolis. So 2 locals making some great strides there. So kudos to all of them, and last night was pretty amazing as well. So
I want to just mention one thing real quick, since you mentioned Finksburg Library. They had their 10th anniversary earlier this week. Can't remember what day, but I was there. It was a nice celebration. They had I think it was the 4th grade choir from the elementary school walk over and sing a couple songs. That was very, very nicely done. And they have some nice gardens around that area. If you haven't been there, because I don't live in Finksburg myself, but I did go there and walk around. It's very peaceful there. It really is. The gardens have reflecting garden stuff. It's worth making a trip too.
yeah, good job. So I think that's it. And stay for the rest of the parade on Memorial Day. I know all of you are going to be there to watch the fantastic award-winning Westminster Municipal Band come down the street, but stay for the rest of the parade.
Who leads that?
So anyway, first item on the agenda.
Buster.
Land acquisition, Miller property. Director Castingway has that. Morning, Jeff.
Good morning. Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Try to keep this brief for you. We're in front of the board on May the 8th to publish our intent to purchase 5 parcels and with improvements from Triple M LLC and CJ Miller LLC. And we ask for your approval today to proceed with the purchase of the advertised properties for $5,055,248.
How much of this is reimbursable by the FFA in the state of Maryland?
95% will be
I
reimbursed.
just wanted to get that out there.
Not a problem at all.
FAA.
FFA.
I know we've been going to FFA, but FAA.
I'd like the FFA to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we received work on that.
There's some farmers right now in
Yeah,
the
the
county
FFA
that
just
are-
went, what?
FAA, sorry. Okay. Still 95%, even though I got the letters wrong.
Right, 95%. Right.
So we purchase, we get reimbursed,
Yes.
and,
That is correct.
yeah. And that's for most of the airport.
The whole,
Everything goes with the airport,
the
pretty much
safety,
works
the
out.
entire safety improvement program is 95% reimbursed, including land acquisitions, and all has been approved by FAA. Got it this time. All the property purchases and everything has been approved by FAA, including the appraisals, projects, designs, et cetera.
And our completion date for the airport is?
Hoping within the 10 years, because it's just phased in year to year. It's as funding becomes available each year. There's $5 million in grant funds per year, so we have to do the project in multiple phases. But now that we're in the queue for this, we've been in the queue. Any other funds that come available to FAA over the next few years, or if other projects get delayed throughout the country, that money we're right there top of the list, and we could get a influx of those funds immediately, and we can do a major part of the upgrade, which will knock a couple years off the project.
Okay.
So we're just hoping at this point, somebody else is delayed for one reason or another. Not that, delays aren't good, but they could be good for us.
Yeah, somebody else's delays.
Yes.
All right, any other questions on the enhancement project?
I'm not saying a word.
I'm gonna make the motion that we purchase the property and equipment described above from Triple M LLC and CJ Miller LLC for $5,055,248.00. Nicely done on that one.
Yes, you're welcome.
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Well done, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
We'll be flying in 10 years.
All right, second on our agenda is discussion decision on the CC Visa Joint Work Group. And I know that we have, before you come up, Tim, I know we have one, is it one public
One, just
comment?
one. Yep.
Okay, so we have public comment?
If Mr. Mike Karolenko,
Yep.
is that right, would come to the mic, that'd be great.
Didn't realize I was gonna be the only one, so I'll try to keep it as brief as I can, although that's not really my forte. So, Mike Karolenko from the Carroll County Professional Firefighters and Paramedics. First off, I wanna really thank you guys for your service through this whole thing, and especially with Memorial Day coming up. Thank you guys that have served in the military in the past. It's one of the things that I've heard in the past is saying never forget. It's just that acknowledgement of never forget the guys you were with, never forget the guys you lost. So never forget hopefully from another family in service. I'd also like to thank everybody that's been part of this process at this point. And standing in a room with so many people that you respect so much is humbling. And it's we put out a piece on Monday. It hit the Carroll County Times, and really discerned a lot of what was going to be said in there in a very purposeful way. And one of the things that we came back to time and time again, or I guess I came back to writing that, was how service-oriented this whole process is. We love Carroll County. We love everything that we have, and we put into this whole thing. And service is is where this is all based out of. And I see, and through the conversations that we've had with the commissioners, you find services that central key piece, and we continue to have that emphasis moving forward to be able to do it. That service by all parties, and we talked about in the article about, this is truly an evolution of the partnership of the stakeholders in fire rescue services. And one of the things that's evolved in this last year has definitely been our role as career staff in Carroll County to be part of that conversation. And we want to continue to be an advocate and an active role in that, and to continue playing, the part as the manpower and the people, the boots on the ground, as part of it, supplemented by our volunteer brothers and sisters, to be able to emphasize that service moving forward. I guess coming on the tail end of that, we really want to support and voice our support for this evolution and what's coming next with these documents, with the county fire chief, or whatever steps are taken in this next little bit. We've talked a lot on our side of where this needs to go and where our concerns are, and we really appreciate your open ears and your time that you spent with us to be able to listen to those concerns. And I know that CC Visa and the people on the other side, as far as the volunteers go, or others, brothers and sisters, have done a really great job, opening their ears and making us an active part of that conversation as well. I will ask, though, specifically that, when looking at this, Mark Davis, chief from Winfield, last month came in and said that, actively involving the IFF is an important step. And we just ask you to take that seriously moving forward. We want to play an active role, and we really, it comes back to your endorsement and your willingness to bring us into this as well, and for us to be an active part of that conversation. So I really appreciate everything, and look forward to what comes next. Thank you.
That's
Okay,
it.
thank you, Mike. All right, now, Tim, you're up. And I'll let you do the introductions. I mean, certainly we have a room full, but,
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim
Morning.
Brown from the Carroll County CC Visa. I'm part of the work group. Don Love and Dennis Beard also. So we're here today basically as a follow-up to a previous meeting from March 7th. The original meeting that we were here for was basically a briefing, and we were discussing several documents, including addition to the county code, the Emergency Services Advisory Council makeup, which consists of the bylaws and charter. So those three documents are the main reason that we're here. We were asked at last meeting to go back and review the actual makeup of the ESAC committee. So we did that on March 20th. All 14 fire companies were present. We had 2 representatives that are a part of the advisory committee that were there to vote that night. So the original option was for representatives from CC Visa in regions, and that was 4 regions, the chair of the FROPS committee, the chair of the EMS Ops committee, 2 career reps, 3 citizen reps, and then non-voting members would be the county commissioner, the chief of the Carroll County Department of Fire and Rescue Services, as we have it spelled out in the documents, the president of CC Visa, and the jurisdictional medical director. So with that, we went back and we had discussions, and we discussed numerous different options of different ways that it could be made up. In the end, after 2 hours of discussion, there was a motion made and a second and a vote taken to go with our original proposal. And that was after lengthy discussion of a lot of different options. And all those discussions resulted in less and less concurrence among the 14 fire companies. So the end vote was 13-1, again, 13 for, 1 against, for the original makeup, the option that was presented to you guys originally. So today, we would just like to get your guys' concurrence of the 3 documents, answer any questions that you may have of those, and go from there.
questions?
Well, and to make up the EAC committee, or is it
Yeah,
ESAC?
ESAC.
All right, I'm getting my letters all wrong.
Yeah.
For career participation,
I'll get them.
I would like to see on there to have one of the, because there's two people for career participation, one of the two be required to be a union member. It could be that both of them are, and it could be that neither one are, depends on how it was voted on. Is that's the way is that correct? The way it's set up right now.
They are just career reps because obviously the union has formed, however, you guys have not obviously accepted them as a bargaining position. So that's up to you all to decide.
Yeah, I
how
would
you
just like to have
handle
that spelled out in here, that of the two career participation members on this committee, one needs to be a union member. I don't think that's a major change. I'd just like to see it spelled out on here to make sure that that's what happens.
What's it say specifically on there?
Two
Give us-
career reps.
Give us the
career
make,
reps.
give us the makeup of the ESAC again, please, for those that don't have it. A couple folks don't have it in front of them,
So there's 4 regional reps from CC Visa.
and that's the
based
4
on-
regions
Correct.
that you, and
Your
they're.
chair of FROPS.
Okay, stop. Go back to the regions.
Okay.
The regions are what?
The first region's made up of 3 fire companies, 5, 8, and 11. Tawnytown, Union Bridge, and Harney.
Okay,
The second one would be representatives from 2, 4, and 7, Hampstead, Manchester, and Limeboro. The third regional rep would be made up from 3, 6, 9, and 10, which is Westminster, Pleasant Valley, Reese, and New Windsor. And the fourth regional reps would be from 1, 12, 13, and 14, Mount Airy, Sykesville, Gamber, and Winfield.
okay, keep going.
All right, so the next 2 reps are the chair of the FROPS committee, which is your chief's committee. The next rep would be your chair of EMS Ops committee. 2 career reps, as it's written. 3 citizen representatives. And then the non-voting members would be a county commissioner, the chief of the Carroll County Department of Fire and Rescue Services, the president of CC Visa, and the jurisdictional medical director.
So how many voting members total?
So you have 15 total members, 11 voting, 4 non-voting. They're comprised of 6 volunteers, 2 career members, and 3 citizen representatives.
Say that again, Tim, I'm sorry.
6 volunteers.
Right, okay,
2 career, and 3 citizen.
right, okay.
Can you do me a favor? Can you revisit the vote, the 13-1, and walk me through some of the discussion and why the 1 was against? And I understand the basics, but if there was any additional information you can share?
So the 13-1 vote was the one company that did not agree with portions of the document. And the main portion they didn't agree with was the makeup of the representatives from CC Visa. And it's my understanding that they wanted to be represented more or have more of a representation than what they've been allotted.
Right, and that was my understanding as well. Is there any additional, discussion on that, or is it all about the representation that they want?
As far as I know, that's the only thing that we discussed that night, and that was on March 20th.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a question, as independent fire departments, do they have to participate?
Yes, that's all included in
Yeah, I know.
the charter and bylaws.
Do they?
Well, I guess you could opt out, I guess.
mean,
but
as an
it
independent-
certainly would defeat the purpose of trying to have
Yeah.
a combination jurisdictional system that's combination between paid personnel and volunteers.
Yeah, that, I mean, I get.
Well, I'm just asking a
No, I get your
question.
question, but that derails the whole purpose
Yeah.
of
Right.
this thing.
I
So-
understand that.
And I would encourage no one to do that at all.
I don't think anyone has from what I've talked, I don't think anyone has the
I
intent of
don't think
opting
so
out of
either.
that.
That,
Okay.
yeah,
I just-
I would hesitate to even go there. I think there's room that eventually all of us, all of the 14, scratch us, all of the 14, will be there. I just think it's gonna take a little bit more. And my question is, and I apologize, I don't have it in front of me, and I was focused on other parts of the document. The responsibility that lies with us as the electeds in the county, how is that identified as to the decisions that we make moving forward? Is this set in stone? Is it up to us? I forget how you all worded that.
I believe, I mean, they're gonna be your guys' documents because they'll be county organizations.
Okay, and it
so-
says that.
Open hearings. You gotta
Okay,
have
yeah,
open
okay, I just
hearings.
wanted to make sure that it says that, and the reason I'm saying that is because all of you know, unless you're under a rock, and you all aren't, because I see you on the street every day, in the budget right now, and if it continues to be that way by the end of today, there's a position for whatever you want to call them, and you know how I feel about what we're calling them, and that is what it is. But I would like to think that when that individual, whoever it is, comes on board, that this document may have room for tweaking based on what that individual wants to see moving forward as well. So I don't want to call it fluid, but yet I think it is. And I'm not trying to push the documents aside, because listen, I get it. I get the blood, sweat, and tears that you all have been through to get this. I understand completely. But when that individual comes on, if that individual has a question or, you know, why do we have this number, or I'd like to think that it's a little bit fluid, that we'll have a little room to do what we can.
Well, I believe.
Working with you all, of course, not,
Yeah, I think there'd be plenty of room for additions, corrections to the county code, but I think the charter and the bylaws are important to get through to
Absolutely.
move forward at this point, for just the makeup of the ESAC council.
Right.
The county code is, obviously, as he gets here and things change, it's gonna evolve over time, and I'm sure he'll be back, or she'll be
Right.
back in front of you
right,
multiple times.
okay.
But- And that's the purpose of bringing that person on at this point, so that we can continually to build the structure.
Well, right. This is the
Okay.
foundation,
Yes.
Right.
and
Yes.
that individual's gonna
Well,
be.
the architectural drawings.
Right,
early.
that individual's gonna be instrumental in leading that charge, so that's why I don't wanna say, okay, this is it, and that's all you got. That's the only point I'm trying to make,
And we
right?
did discuss this in committee several times,
On-
the size.
Hold on a
of-
minute, Dennis.
Go ahead.
The size of the ESAC being what it is, what we're suggesting, and not making it too large from the beginning. That when this person or persons come on, and we start working with them, and through experience of dealing in it, we felt that if it needed to grow, we could make it grow. However, if you make it too large in the beginning, it makes it very difficult to cut down
Yeah, I
if
get
you feel
that.
that it's too large.
Yeah.
So.
I
And
get it.
actually, on your Article 12 for amendments, it says the Board of County Commissioners reserves the right to approve, amend, and/or repeal provisions of the ESAC's bylaws and our charter at its discretion. So we had, not just us, but any Board of County Commissioners has a right to change these as they see fit to do. So it's just not written in stone.
Yeah, my only point here is to say, look, when that individual comes on board, and I want to remind people again that everybody needs to take a breath here, because, you know, Mike, where's Mike? Mike, I appreciate, because most of you know that was kind of thrown at me, the previous article, and I appreciate, and I know that Visa's working on a response as well, so that's huge, and thank you for that. But I just want to make sure that when that individual comes on, and it's going to take a little while here, everybody needs to take a breath. This doesn't mean that we're going to, you know, this is going to be happening December the 1st. It's going to take time. That he or she, whoever that is presented with this and said, okay, we've started the foundation. Now here you go, and they can say, okay, well, can we tweak this part of it a little bit, or can we do, that's my only point in making sure that it's a fluid work in progress, even though we have the charter.
Well, it definitely will be
Okay.
as time goes on, and we're gonna continue to work in our groups to support that person when they're put in place with looking at funding mechanisms and things like that.
Yeah.
So we still have a lot of work to do, but this is the foundation. We really need to get this moving to be able to move forward.
All right, can we make that change in the ESAC committee to make one of the two career people, at least one of the two, to be a union member?
If,
That's
If-
what the board wishes.
yeah, but clarification, and there was some discussion, because originally, I know I only felt there was a need for one career rep. But, again, we bargained, we talked, compromised, and, because, in my former livelihood, the local technically had one person. And we decided to, because how times have changed, not everybody is required to belong to an organization. So, those people need to be recognized also. So-
I'm not
so
trying to
you
change the
have-
number.
You have two.
Right, I'm not trying to change the number.
Right, okay.
I'm just trying to say that at least one of those two would be a union member.
Yeah, that's,
I'll make that in the form of a motion, because we can change it right now.
I'll second it.
Well,
What?
Do we need
Go
to?
ahead.
I'm not sure okay. We haven't,
Or just, well,
Still
I
a
mean.
draft.
it's still,
Yeah, but the fact, my point of putting this out like this is because we asked for certain things to be looked at, and basically he came back with the exact same document that went out with months ago. So I guess if we want to make any changes, we're the ones that are going to have to make them.
right.
Correct. We've given
That's
you
why I'm
what
putting that
we
out there like
believe
that
is
right
our
now.
best recommendation to make this project work with a 13 and 1 vote.
Okay. And that's why I'm putting that out there right
Okay.
now, because we sent this out months ago. We got the exact same document back. So if we want to make changes, I guess it's up to us to make those changes.
So, prior to that composition, the wording says citizen and career representatives shall be selected by the BCC. So we've got the ability to put that on there anyway, if that indeed is what we want to do, without it specifically saying that.
Right, but
So it's sort of-
that's this board, and what about the next one? That's what I'm saying.
Well,
So if
we're
it's
gonna do-
written,
we're gonna do it.
If it's written in there, then it's yeah, for this, but this is gonna go into the future.
Yeah, I understand that, but, I don't know. Well, I got a motion second, but I think we've got the ability to do that without it being specifically written. It says to career. I don't wanna get lost in the weeds here.
I don't think that is. I think it's a necessary step, in my
Okay.
opinion.
Is it necessary step because the responsibility union is going to continue to grow
That's
within?
what I would think so,
And that's so
yes.
therefore, since it's continuing to grow, do you want to ensure that there's appropriate representation?
Yes.
Because right now, the union represents what number?
About a half.
About half.
Half.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty good.
Now,
I was
do you
expecting,
word
I was
that-
expecting a smaller number, so that's pretty good already.
Right.
With the intent to grow to a certain number, but okay.
Now, do you word that one and no more than one?
No, at least one is how I would like the wording.
At least one, so you're,
It could be one, it could be both. I'm not limiting it.
A minimum.
Yeah, at least one of the career members has to be a union member, or
So-
union rep, however you
so-
say it.
Yes, with that said, what would be the conflict if we did it that way? In your,
I personally don't see a conflict, but again, if you look at the surrounding I think if you look nationwide, normally on a group like this, the president of the local is the spokesperson and the person that would sit on a committee, period. The president of the local.
okay,
But that's also in a jurisdiction where they've been authorized as a bargaining unit. So in this county, I don't believe that having just a single person that would be a union representative would be representing the entire, and as we
Right.
heard, only half of the members are union members at this point. So I'm not opposed to a minimum of having one as a union representative, but I don't think that it should be just one citizen representative. I still think, or a career representative.
No, I'm
Should be
not saying
two.
cut the career to one.
I know,
I'm
but
not saying that at all.
I just want to clarify what
Okay.
he's saying.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I
Okay.
agree,
Right.
I
Okay.
concur with you, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
the glide path of growth of union has been I guess, the glide path, the trajectory, how many have been part of the union today compared to yesterday or a couple years ago, a few years ago? Has it been a steady increase with the expectation that it's gonna be a steady increase?
So, to be honest, the union just formed, when did you guys form?
We formed July last year was when we were officially chartered.
So from July last year to today, 50% are represented,
That's right. With the-
or
and that-
part of the union, not represented, but part of the union.
That's right, so that includes a growth from the initial number as well. We started with about 1/3, and we've moved up to a half, and there's been the verbal kind of intention of others to join as the whole thing continues to move forward. So
Yeah.
there's obvious growth that's attached to every bit
Right.
of that.
So it's just, again, to me, it just builds the argument for what you're sharing, that you want that put in there, that a union representative should be on this, okay. What?
No, I just, Perry was bringing up a good point, just that they haven't been recognized, the union hasn't been recognized by this board. And I guess a comparison would be similar to, the Fraternal Order of Police. As you guys sit down with them and listen to them, necessarily they don't have.
The responsibilities of a union within the
Correct.
sheriff's department,
So-
correct.
Well, they're not really a union.
They're not, but,
different.
but we're treated, but they're
Yeah,
treated
that's
also as,
Yeah.
in the
So-
same respect.
But that's that's what we were just comparing, so.
Now,
Yeah.
will this eventually change our finances?
Which part, the whole
mean-
system?
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to
yeah.
affect the taxpayers in the county.
Absolutely. At some point in time, we're gonna have to look, and that would be the next step moving forward from this point, once these documents get approved, is starting to look at staffing levels and starting to look at funding sources and things like that. That's our next step to help prepare the incoming person, director, chief, whatever you wanna call them.
Well, and I want to caution you that I think you're going to need to slow down from now on out until that person comes on board, because if that person is presented with all this stuff without having any input, we're getting off on the wrong foot here, I think. Personal
Well,
opinion. This
I-
person's going to be responsible by us and you to put this foundation in. If you are going to set the foundation before that person comes in, I'm not sure that's the best way to go here.
So,
Which is why I said before, y'all need to take breath.
well, I think after 2 years of working on this, I think we've taken a lot of time and effort into looking at each one of these steps as a process, and I don't feel like we've rushed into anything at this point.
I'm not saying that.
But-
I'm saying from here now.
Well, no, I don't disagree with that, but I don't think we should stop our work.
No,
I think that
I-
it needs to
yeah.
No,
continue
I'm not telling you
to
it's
build.
right. Okay, yeah, you're missing my point. I just think you need to take it slow. Slow goes the race now, because if that person comes on board, don't you think that person should have
I
an
do.
instrumental
and
part in setting
the-
this up?
The interesting part about the makeup of our committee, it involves the heads of all your departments
Right.
that would be directly impacted by this program, finance and budget, and so on and so forth. The law office has reviewed the documents and things, so we would continue to work forward with them. We've already started working with Ms. Frock on job descriptions, obviously, for the positions that are proposed in the next budget. So we're continually working together with your folks to make this happen.
No, and
We're not in any rush
I
to
get
get
it.
it done. We want to do it right.
And I appreciate what Commissioner's sharing, is you do not want to prejudice those coming in, saying that this is the model that you're now going to adopt. That's the wrong answer. This is the model that you're preparing, you're doing your homework, and here are the course of action to this new individual, saying, make the best decisions now. So,
And to
but-
be honest with you, I could tell you, probably speaking for most of the work group, we'll be happy when that person comes on board,
Correct.
because it'll be taking a lot of load off of us.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
So-
And we'll be working with them from the start
But-
and
Yeah,
going
let's
through,
not
building
forget-
the rest of that
Let's
foundation.
not forget that you are doing it for free.
Yeah.
And my only point there is, on the flip side of what the Commissioner is, I don't want you to slow down. I want you to continue to put your best foot forward in drafting this, providing the best insight you can provide, but not in a way where you are going to prejudice that person coming in to then have to say, okay, well, you've already done it, we're just
Be
rubber
working for
stamping.
recommendations
Right.
for them, and they can
Exactly.
arrange it how they'd wish to
We're
arrange
we're
it.
trying to
it's
walk a
great.
steady pace and
Absolutely.
get them in with us. to
Is
continue the
are
rest of
there
the walk.
models, that have been used, that you're using from other jurisdictions?
We've actually looked at multiple models from other jurisdictions, and what we've done is we've taken the things that have worked in those jurisdictions that we believe we can apply in this county and apply to us, and we've tried to apply it to these documents and make this program work. We've also looked at some of the failures from some of the other jurisdictions and make sure that we don't make the same mistakes.
So without going into the failures, are there any shout-outs of other jurisdictions that you're saying, yes, this was a step forward in the process that you're now looking at?
So I think Frederick County is a good example. Howard County has some really good examples of things that have happened in the past that we've used as examples. We've used multiple jurisdictions.
Sure,
A little bit from each one.
okay.
Let me ask one
Except one.
question. The motion that's on the floor now, would that have changed, if it's put in here, would that change the vote from the 14 fire departments?
I don't believe so, no. I mean, I can't answer for every
We
fire
can't
company, but.
Say yes, but I don't think anybody, we just said career reps. The fact that one of them has to be a union, at least one has to be a union member, I don't think would be a concern personally.
I don't,
The consensus of I believe, the committee itself, the advisory committee, is that these documents are important to continue to move forward. And I don't believe that one word change, or who that person is, as long as it is a career rep, would change their votes on that. Because I think everyone realizes that the need is now and not kick down the road. You know what I mean? I think it's extremely important.
As far as the two career reps, I think everybody, assuming everybody from the advisory committee came into this, assuming that there's gonna be union representation as a career rep in there.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with
Yeah.
the fact that it's our choice
it's
to
there.
put whoever we want on ESAC. I mean, I think it's almost a given that somebody from the union's
Yeah.
gonna be on there. I
Yeah.
don't know how else you know,
Right.
that's why I'm
At
hesitant
least
to
at
throw
some
it in
point.
there.
Well,
That's,
right away.
it makes it easier to say, okay, let's do it, because if it's almost a given, then it's gonna be a given.
all right, well, I got a motion and second for that. I gotta do something about that, so,
I know, I was waiting for it.
You gonna throw something on it?
Do we need any oversight from the county attorney on that motion?
Heck,
Everything
no,
good?
Yeah.
not that guy.
We're fine?
And the wording on that was a minimum of one.
A minimum of
union rep
one.
as a
Was that your
career rep.
motion?
At least one
Yeah.
union rep, yes.
Okay. All right, well, you all prepared to vote on that? This, all of this is big, so, you know, and in reference to your question about have you looked at other models? Be assured that there are many, many counties right now looking at this. Because I understand that you all have looked at models. Howard County's nothing like Carroll. Nothing. I'm gonna disagree with you on that. Frederick, maybe, but this is unlike anything that we've seen in these parts. Period. And I know that there have been other, which leads to me saying as well, that I think we're gonna be challenged to find that person that comes in here, because this is huge. God bless that person that comes on board to do this. I think that's gonna be a challenge to find that right person, because there really aren't a lot of models of a complete volunteer system being kind of made into a good combination system by infusing folks into volunteer firehouses, period. It's just not,
You're correct. They're out there. Some of them are not that good, but others were helpful.
Yeah.
So, we've learned a lot.
yeah, I know.
Right, and
Want
that's,
to be cautious as to what counties you compare us to.
so
Well-
I don't think you were saying comparing to those counties. I think
No,
you
I'm
were,
saying
I was asking what are best practices in developing this, you know, model. It's not necessarily a model to replicate another model, but
Sort of the same question.
We didn't just boilerplate it from Howard County
Right.
here. We took
Right.
portions of each one of these different counties
Right.
that worked in their county and that we think can work here
Yeah.
and
Okay.
applied them to these documents.
that's fair.
All right, I got a motion and second, so all in favor, you want to say, was the motion at least one, right? We
Was it
are-
for
okay.
at least one of the career positions to be a union representative?
All in favor,
At least one, not only one, 'cause that way you'd have one
It
of
could be
each.
two, it could be
Yeah, but. you
Minimal.
want-
Yeah, at
Minimum,
least
but
one.
you want to say one of each, and that way it specifies it, one union, one non-union?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, you're getting into,
No.
I think you're getting into some weeds here. I personally think you're getting into some weeds here with this decision.
Well, it's already being done.
That's I think we've got the ability to do that now. And
Right.
because it says that
does.
it's up to us. So,
That's why I'm doing it.
okay.
It's up to us.
Yeah, but you're making it very
I am.
specific in this.
Yes.
All right, well, we're gonna vote. So, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. I just think well, I'm not gonna explain my vote. I
I
just
believe
think
it's redundant.
I think it's redundant, because it already says we're
I
gonna do
understand.
it. So, let's put a
I
whole
got
bunch
it.
of more redundancy into the thing.
In that case,
No, I mean, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on this?
The, going back to that 14-1 vote, the one is continuing to participate in all discussions. And
Yes,
there's
they
not
have.
been any walking away saying,
No.
okay, and understands what's good for the gander is best for the county, what's good for the group in itself, and has accept.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. What I don't want to see is this 13-1 and then a 1 saying, well, I didn't do that, I didn't vote for that, I'm not part of that. But that's not the case. This has to do with a very specific issue of representation
Of the makeup of the committee.
of the makeup of the committee. That is the issue. It's not the issue of this.
No.
Okay.
There is a need for that to be done, and I believe that they're in support of that.
Right.
It's just the actual makeup of the
And
representation.
that's an important message, is that you are working together, all 14,
Okay.
for this. So, got it.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, did you abstain on that vote?
Yes.
Okay, just to make it clear.
I don't have a clear
Okay, so it
vision
was
where-
3 to 1 to 1.
where it was to be
On
here.
that vote.
I'm
Okay.
not sure the fire.
Thank you
chief
for,
said me.
I don't think that was clear.
Yeah, I want to
so
make sure that
that's
was,
good. Thank you.
just to clarify that.
I thought it was
so,
a 4-1,
yeah,
so appreciate
so.
that.
Okay. All right, anything else on this moving forward? I mean, it's up to us now to adopt this as we move forward. Mr. Burke, what's our avenue of travel now?
If you desire to incorporate this into the code, it needs to be put into legislative, the document that you prepared, that's a proposed code amendment, we need to put that into legislative form, and it has to be adopted as an ordinance,
Okay.
after public notice.
And that'll include a hearing and everything else as we,
Right.
But the board-
associated with that.
But the board doesn't have to do that. That's not required. I mean, they could just adopt the bylaws and the membership of the ESAP, right? I mean,
You could do a policy, you could do
Yeah.
bylaws.
But for long-term effects,
It's harder to change the code.
put it into the right appropriate path, I think the course that you're saying gives us that long-term effects, that,
And I would like to see this go out to public hearing.
yeah.
So then,
okay, that's
So
fine.
then
I
we're
just
going-
wanted to make sure it was
so
clear
then
to
we're
the
going that way
board.
and not that way.
Correct.
I just
Right.
wanted to make sure, I don't have a way.
I just
I just
think-
wanted to make sure it was
right.
clear to the board that that's not a
Right.
requirement. This is
Correct.
not something that has to be part of your
Right,
ordinance.
but I just think that going out to public hearing would be a wise step to
I agree.
take. I really do.
But this has to be a document for the new chief to come in and start with, right? Or at least some guidance.
Right.
Well, sure, but that's regardless whether
Needs
it's
to
a
happen.
policy or it's a law.
Right.
Correct.
And we want,
Or ordinance.
or an ordinance, so I agree, I believe putting in an ordinance gives it much more weight and value. in moving
So we're
forward.
talking about putting the county code in the special format, correct? In the
Yeah, it would be,
legislative format.
it would be drafted as an ordinance, as an amendment to our county code, so it probably will end up as a new chapter, a new subsection in the county code, specific to this topic.
The other two documents that we're talking about, the charter and bylaws, would they be separate from that?
Yes, they would be separate.
So you have 3 different documents to
Right.
vote on today.
So I guess if you're amenable, the motion would be for the one document whose name I'm not sure of, to direct to staff to do what they need to do in order to put it into the proper format and go forward with the public hearing process. and then the other
And-
two just adopt separately. So you may want to do 2 or 3 motions. Do you follow me?
Yeah, but then procedurally, I got a question. If we just adopt this document now, don't the other 2 follow after the hearing?
The ordinance would follow, the code adoption would be after a public hearing.
Yeah, I don't want to adopt anything till after we have a public hearing.
But only one's going to public hearing, that's all I was saying.
Okay, well, that's where I'm
Yeah,
confused.
and that's what Commissioner
Yeah, it
Wance
gets
is
very
asking.
confusing.
Should we adopt the bylaws and the ESAC makeup now before you have the public hearing and adopt the legislation?
Well, I would like the ESAC makeup to go to public hearing as well, to be honest with you. I'd like to get the input from the public on that.
Yeah, I think the whole thing needs to go.
Well, go to public hearing.
Why wouldn't we? I agree. I think taking this, and the next step is moving forward towards public hearing, and getting the input.
Then,
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
either way
it
you
should go
wanna do
public
it, but
hearing,
Correct.
there's only a part of it that actually needs to be part of the ordinance.
Yeah, but that's regardless. I think the point here is, what you presented, this, I believe, as Commissioner Frazier shared, that it should go public hearing, and then we can make the decisions on adopting it or putting it into ordinance. So,
So I think our next step, I would make a motion for all 3 documents to go to public hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
Let's
just-
make an amendment, a motion to put the proposed code provisions into legislative format and have a public hearing, and at that same time, include as discussion items at the public hearing, the bylaws and the
Yeah.
ESAC
ESAC.
document.
Okay.
Right.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Well, how can I say it better than the lawyer?
That's right.
okay, could you repeat your motion?
What did he say? My motion was so moved.
So, just in the interest of everyone, typically, we try to get a hearing in a reasonable amount of time.
Right.
And we have advertisements that are necessary as part of the process and everything else. So we're looking at,
either
A month and a
60,
half, maybe a
90.
few
yeah,
months.
yeah.
The advertisement process usually, it's 2, for most things, it's 2 weeks of actual advertising time.
Right.
And you usually need to give the times about a week lead
Right.
time, so that in and of itself is 3. And then I'm assuming the county attorney's office needs to do some work to put this into the proper format, so.
I just wanted to give an idea
Right.
of what the time frame is here.
Like
so.
6 weeks.
Yep,
Yep.
so, okay. All right. Okay. Got a motion? Are you good, Tim?
Yes.
Okay, got a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
Great
Anything
job.
else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good stuff.
Taking
Thank
enough of
you.
your time.
Thank you all for coming today,
Absolutely.
too. We
Thank you for the
appreciate it.
work. That's pretty monumental.
Yeah. We'll give a minute. We'll give a minute.
That is, yeah, because it's gonna be CCEA.
There goes your budget. Okay. Next on the agenda, request approval to submit the FY 2023 Carroll County Bureau of Aging and Disabilities Area Plan. You got all the players, Christine?
Hard to get them in and out the same door.
Yeah. I'll let you do the intro of who's here today.
Okay, thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
Joining us today is Celine Steckel, our Bureau Chief for Aging and Disabilities. Becky Hillier, who I'm not sure you've all met yet, is our Fiscal Supervisor. Patty Whitson is joining us. She's our Community Services Supervisor and oversees all of our senior centers. And also joining us today is Hermine Sanders and Jim McKieran, who are Chair and Vice Chair of the Commission on Aging and Disabilities. This morning we are...
Welcome, folks. Welcome. Jim, haven't you done some? Never mind. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's an awesome blue blazer, by the way.
Wow. It's good to see you, and thank you for all the years of service that you have given to Carroll, and I know you're not going to be a stranger. So, I just want to say thank you, Jim. Yeah, I think you're going to be fine, my friend. Matter of fact, you were a topic of discussion at MML yesterday. Yeah, as being an honorable past president, and you're, so anyway. So I'm off track. Hey, how you all doing?
So this morning, we are looking to seek approval to submit our area plan to the Maryland Department of Aging. To comply with the Older Americans Act, the Maryland Department of Aging requires that the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities develop a 4-year area plan for our service area. We submit a full comprehensive plan every 4 years, and then the years in between, we submit an update. This happens to be our 4-year plan year. Area plans are the basis on which the Maryland Department of Aging awards our state and federal grants. And this plan includes a comprehensive overview of our services as well as our innovative programming that the Bureau of Aging administers for adults age 60 and older, individuals with disabilities, veterans, and those who care for them. The breakdown of the budget, we receive about $528,974 in federal funding, $133,366 in state funding, $1,945,135 from county funding, and $63,900 for program, which is program income, for a total of $2,671,375. Celine and Becky are going to give you a little bit more detail about the plan and the programs included.
Before we go there,
Yep.
the $1,945,135 for the county is already in the budget.
Yes.
It's already there, so,
Yes.
okay,
Yep.
just make sure.
And that includes all of our support for the senior centers and.
And this is an increase, how much from the previous plan?
So
I think it's about the same, it's the same.
it's almost level funding. The way that we get our funding throughout the year, the area plan allocations come out, and typically throughout the year, the state realizes some cost savings in other areas, so they may reallocate additional funds throughout the year. So when you look at what we've received in this year's area planning, as opposed to last year when we received the area plan allocation, it's very similar. Although when you look at the actuals we received in fiscal year 19, it's actually more than we have been allocated right now from the initial start for fiscal year 20. Does that make sense? So throughout
Sort of.
fiscal year 20, we will anticipate that we will get additional funding coming into some of the programs, not millions of dollars, but some additional dollars coming in as there's cost savings in other areas, or if other jurisdictions don't spend all their allocations, sometimes they reallocate to those of us that are.
So you're talking about reallocation of state funding?
State and the
federal.
state's federal funding that's
Okay.
coming through as well. Because
Got it.
there's state program dollars and federal dollars that are included in the entire area plan.
So this is actually not necessarily a victim of success, but a success of success. You continue to succeed, you're gonna get more funding, as others may not be doing nearly as well. So the work you do, and all the work you do, the intent would be to receive more state and federal funding throughout the year, is what you're saying.
That would be the hope. Some years it.
Hope's
it-
not a course of action,
well,
the work
right.
you're doing. Okay.
Correct.
Well, I get that. It's just that at first glance, when you look at this and see that we're putting in $2 million as locals, and you got 133,000 from the state, really? I mean, I understand the feds, but, the state knows the progress and all of the things that go on with our seniors and everything that's done. At first glance, you'd almost think that's a slap in the face.
Some of it is difficult. We just came from a state monitoring visit with our state health insurance program, which is federally funded. And a piece of that conversation that we just had with our state program coordinator was exactly that we're showing thousands and thousands of in-kind dollars in support that we're offering locally through volunteerism, through our other staff that are helping to support that program. And that the more that we can justify that in our statements, the more they can justify to the federal government that there's more need for allocation, higher allocation to fund those very essential programs.
what's the comparison to other jurisdictions? Are they receiving around the same amount of dollars right now from the state, or is this very much lower than other? Do you-
Well, right, it's some of the funding, are you asking if it's similar to what we're receiving as allocation, or
No.
if they're receiving level funding from last year for, based on their own county?
Well, I guess in that case, both. The one is, are they receiving, is it level from last year to this year in the other counties, so especially surrounding us? And what's the comparison from those counties and what they're receiving compared to what we're receiving, the 130? Because like the commissioner shared is, that's a very low number compared to the amount of money we're putting in, so.
So the state has different formulas for each program that they provide funding for. And that's based on the census, the numbers, and some
Okay.
jurisdictions receive additional funding if they're considered a distressed community. So some of the programs, because a lot of our programs are based for minority, the priority population would be minority individuals, low-income individuals, people that don't speak English, so different priority population, and people with disabilities. So priority populations are always given, obviously, the first bid at those dollars, and that's how they prioritize some of the funding formulas, but that's not the complete formula.
We're not an entitlement jurisdiction, is that the,
Correct.
yeah. So we are not considered entitlement jurisdiction, so entitlement jurisdictions are going to be priority first.
Right, okay.
Okay. I mean, I didn't mean to get us off on another tangent, but I continue to be challenged by the fact that we see less and less coming from the state when it comes to assisting us with the good things that we are doing. I mean, I asked the question the other day, Dennis, you and I were in that room when we asked Steve Shue, with the opioid.
Yep.
We always tout ourselves as doing just a great job. Well, you know what that does? It takes away funding.
That's right.
Because we're
Hurts
doing a
us.
great job. It almost makes you want to say, well, maybe we ought to back off of something so we get more money. But I know you don't want to do that. That's unrealistic. But it just, I continue to be challenged, and yet, we have to come up with more and more and more and more on the local level, and at the same time, the state's coming up with less, and less. Insert education funding here. So, it's just, it's a challenge for me, and it's got to be noted, because, again, first glance, 2 million from local and 100,000 from the state. That's just ridiculous.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, Celine, but this is also a hot topic with the Mako group and the Maryland,
Well, another
M4A.
reason why I'm bringing it up, because,
Because
yeah.
the AAA directors, we have a professional association, which is the Maryland Association of Area Agency on Aging Directors. And we meet aside from our state AAA directors meetings with the state, and we talk about exactly these pieces. We have a lobbyist for our group that was in Annapolis and worked with us on a lot of different pieces of legislation and the wording on the legislation, and really working with the Secretary of the Department of Aging to really understand our perspective about this exact thing, the piece that our local funding from all the jurisdictions, the local dollars, are much larger than the state and federal dollars that are coming in to support these programs, and these are essential services that we're offering, and how can we better improve that allocation and make sure the dollars are being spent where they need to be spent. So we were very involved with that process this year.
Yeah, I would encourage you to continue to do that, because
That
it's,
is the
and if it
plan.
needs to be, MACO's looking for initiatives that they want to focus on for the upcoming legislative session. If that's something that you feel as if should be in the discussion, I would encourage you to let me know.
Absolutely. I would love to have a dialogue
33,000
about
for
that.
50,000 people.
Yeah, do the math. I mean, it's just, again, I get
Less
the
than
formulas,
$3
and,
per person.
it could go up, it's fluid, it's down, but it's challenging for me to see these numbers.
The M4A affiliate for Mako has joined the Human Service affiliates. Now it's one affiliate at Mako, which I think is a positive change, to have a larger voice and everyone at the table.
Okay.
Okay. So I did want to acknowledge that as part of our planning process for the four-year area plan, we hosted, the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities hosted a community needs assessment that we administered. And over 500 older adults responded to this needs assessment in a very short time. We pushed it out at our expo in April, and we closed it a month later. And in that short time, we were able to hear from a lot of our older adults in the community. The results of the survey were analyzed, and we presented them during community meetings. We hosted 2 different community meetings, one at Westminster Senior Center and one at South Carroll Senior and Community Center. And we incorporated the results of the survey into our area planning process. I did want to take a moment to just commend our staff at the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities. This is a very large document to piece together. Not only is it a comprehensive narrative, but it's also the budgeting pieces, which are multiple pages, as well as the statistics and other documents that we have to pull from all of the programming that we have done throughout the past planning years and our projections of numbers for those upcoming 4 years. And our staff pulled together and did an excellent job. I think each year that we do the area plans, we get better. And the involvement with our Commission on Aging and Disabilities is required as part of this area planning process, and they have been a wonderful support as well. So thank you to Jim and Hermine and everyone that sits on our commission. Part of the area plan that is funded through the as promulgated through the Older Americans Act are services that include our information and assistance in our MAP offices, our nutrition and congregate and home delivered meals, and health education, health promotion and self-management programs, case management, long-term care ombudsman, guardianship, our family caregiver support programs, which includes the grandparents programs, elder abuse prevention, and our legal assistance and tax preparation. All of those programs are highlighted in this plan, but also, as you see, the dollars that are reported out, we not only include the Older American Act funding, we have to include all of the programs that encompass the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities. So everything is included in this plan. Another piece of the plan highlights some of the new initiatives that we're going to be focusing on within the next few years. And those new initiatives that we're looking at are highlighting technology with the older adults and the way that we deliver services, looking at nutrition and nutrition counseling and consultation, and training and communication with our EMS professionals to have them be a bigger support. I wish they would have still been in the room for this, to really be out there as our frontline people in the homes of these older adults and how they can help to spread the word about our services. So with that being said, I would like to just ask if you had any questions about the area plan, and if you would like any detail specific to maybe the survey. As you can see, we have a growing number of older adults age 60 and over in Carroll County. In 1990, we reported out, the Census Bureau reported out that we had about 17,000 older adults in Carroll County. By
How many?
17,000. That was in
Okay.
1990. By 2010, the census count was 31,000 older adults age 60 and over.
Right.
They're projecting by 2020, there's going to be over 45,000, and by 2030, there's going to be over 58,000 older adults in Carroll County. And I will tell you, with our survey that we administered, only 30%, a little over 30% of the individuals stated that they had used the Bureau of Aging and Disability Services in the past, which shows us that we are not reaching everyone and that we need to be very creative with our marketing and how we reach folks, and also creative with what services we're providing and how, and make sure that that's affordable and costly to us as government, but also meeting the needs of our individuals that are out there.
You know, I'd like to comment on a couple things. One, I'm not going to argue with a kickboxer, so that's number one. You got a few days left, and then we'll talk. So, okay. You know, I'm blessed to serve as an ex officio on the Aging and Disability, along with the Veteran Advisory Council. I really think I got, you know, the grand slam on serving on both of those because of the work that you all do and the volunteers from the community that participate on both those councils, specifically with the Aging and Disabilities Council, the energy in the room and the discussion. Going to South Carroll the other day after the census to have that discussion as well. I think you're doing a great job with reaching out. Yes, we could do more with marketing. I think part of the discussion that we've had is as seniors are becoming seniors, they're continuing to be very active and do not see the programs that we have as suitable for for them because they don't see themselves as senior.
Right.
So continue, and a lot of it's the same thing with veterans. They don't take advantage of veteran services because they feel that they are 100% healthy and they're part of the community. The seniors are entitled to the senior services that are provided in the community. So I think you're right. Outreach and continuing to figure out how to market that is going to be significant as these numbers are going to continue to grow. This little piece I'm just sharing is one to applaud the work that you and the community are doing in these programs. I think looking for innovation on how to market to that very large senior population that is projected is going to be critical. Also to tell our story, to get more state attention, which means more funding from the state. So, but great job.
Thank you very much. And with that marketing component, I do want to acknowledge that within this next 4-year planning process, the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities will be celebrating its 50th anniversary. So part of our area plan is to create a new branding or a new marketing approach for the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities, because on one of the questions that we did ask on that survey, we said, if you're not attending our senior centers, why? And we had a very large response that said, because I'm there for old people, not for me. And I think that's reflective of people that have not been to our centers to see what we do there, number one, but also for people that may not be aware, or that maybe we need to hear from them. What do they want? What can we offer at those centers to make them more attractive to everyone?
Right.
So, but I thank you for your positive comments. Appreciate that.
You good?
One other thing, I did want to acknowledge, and many of you were there, Patty Whitson was presented with the Hidden Gem Award the other night by the Partnership for a Healthier Carroll County, by her longevity in her position and the work that she has done to support health and wellness initiatives throughout Carroll County and in all of our senior centers. And if you know of anyone like Patty Whitson, if you call Patty and ask her to coordinate something, schedule it, and get it done, 5 minutes later, she's reached out to 17 people, it's scheduled, the date's on the calendar, and it's out at the press release. So I just want to acknowledge that that was a fantastic event, and a great award for Patty, and well-deserved.
Absolutely, thank you. She is a rock star.
She is.
I was going to say, I was going to announce that.
Stole your thunder.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
I'd like
I
to
think
make a
she's
motion.
blushing.
If appropriate, I'd like to make the motion that Board of Commissioners submit the FY 2023 area plan and accept the FY 20 funding.
Second.
Limited as it is.
Limited as it is.
Yeah, this is gonna be one of my reluctant eyes.
Yeah.
Because this
They need more.
is ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. So, you know,
The state can't do it, we can.
Well, yeah, in a tight budget year that we are experiencing, this is ridiculous, so. And I get what Commissioner Rothstein is saying. Kudos to everybody, you know, you all doing a tremendous job, but I think in the long run, it's coming back around to unfortunately, a positive turning into a negative.
Just
So,
again, the ridiculous, to clarify, is
is the state funding
is the
part
state
of it, and the
funding-
federal part of it as well.
Right.
It's just that is unacceptable to me.
And I concur with Commissioner Wance's frustration. I'm sure you guys are frustrated as well. You know, all of us get frustrated with the amount of mandates that come down from above, state and federal government, with no finance, and it's shouldered on us to figure out how to pay for it. And then we are the bad guys when we have to get the funding to finance all of this. So you have my empathy on what you're doing, but you're managing it well, and I sincerely appreciate it. I'm also very understanding to the words that Commissioner Wance has expressed here.
All right, any other questions on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You know, we do have 3 senior citizens that should take advantage of the senior, just saying.
Well, and you know, it's interesting that you bring that up, because my mom and dad are 82 years old, and they're as active as, almost as what I am. And when I say, have you been to the senior center, they're like, for what?
That's old people.
And they're 82.
Yep.
So that stereotypical
Yep.
response that you get, I don't know how, you can market from here till the cows come home. See what I did there with the F?
I saw that.
But it's, yeah.
Cows on their run.
So it's a hurdle to get over. You know, there are folks that just say, we're not interested in that, so, you
Right.
know. So, but kudos for, and Patty, yeah, that was, Patty turned 18 colors of red the other day. Didn't know she had that much red in her, so. And my comments to you, Jim, again, weren't in any way negative. I want to thank you for everything that you have done for this county. And I know you're not going to go away, but you have, you've been instrumental in leading a town through some challenging times, and you've done it in the most incredible way that you could, and professional, and I applaud you for that, sir. So thank you. Okay. Very
You
good.
endured the streets being torn up for what, 18 months? I'm sure you had lots of complaints.
All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Corporate resolutions for Treasury and Investment Services. Mr. Comptroller.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
Title should clear the rest of the crowd if they hadn't. Hopefully a brief item for you this morning, administrative in nature. I was before the board about a month ago as we've undergone some staff changes in the office with a retirement and some promotions in the office. About a month ago, that was for the banking services, the deposit account for the county. And now we accumulated the investment accounts from financial institutions that we deal with on a regular basis, and have a similar request that we execute updated agreements with M&T Bank, UBS, and MBS. These are existing relationships that we have with them, so there's no changes to the services, simply a renewal of those service agreements and of the authorized individuals to transact business with those institutions on behalf of the county. So I've had the county attorney's office review those documents. These are boilerplate documents prepared by those institutions, and again, we're already operating under them. So simply asking your approval to initiate new corporate resolutions with those three financial institutions.
These are renewal, or these are, you used the word renewal, or are these changing appropriately the agreements
Right.
because the corporate, you know, they're needed?
Newly executed agreements to identify the individuals who will transact business with
Okay.
the county. They like those to be adopted at
Okay.
the executive board level of any organization they work with.
Understand, but to me, it doesn't sound like that's a renewal. I mean, I gotta
Okay.
be careful, because when I hear renewal, I'm
Sure.
thinking, hey, have we had a competitive bid process? And this has nothing to do with finding a new service
Correct.
to go out for bid, so.
Correct.
Okay, okay.
I'll make the motion, the Board of Commissioners adopt the corporate resolutions for Treasury and Investment Services with M&T Bank, UBS, and MBS.
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I'll leave them for your signature. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
You have a good day.
Grant award for the FY 2020 broadband feasibility studies. Director of Tech Services, Mark Ripper, and Grants Analyst Karen Jagoda. Good morning.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
About a month ago, we came before you and asked for your approval to be able to go ahead and submit an application to the state of Maryland to apply for a grant to do a feasibility study here in Carroll County on the status of broadband in the county. We have since received acknowledgement that our application was accepted, and we are here today to get your approval to accept the award that they have sent us and to transfer our matching funds, which will be all cash, over into a broadband feasibility study account.
The project, the funds are being transferred from 6603, what was that?
That's the $1 million that you set aside a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It's coming out of that account. That's where we had talked about the last time we'd get the funding
Okay.
from. So, because we still have somewhere in the neighborhood of $400,000 to $500,000 sitting in that account.
Okay.
So the feasibility study, Mark, and I know we talked about this before, but just to review.
Sure.
This is gonna include what exactly? Are we gonna be
Okay,
focusing on
That's a good
rural?
question, Commissioner. And it's actually part of the MOU that we have with the state. I won't read through the whole thing, but I'll give you some broad topics here.
Right.
What they're looking for us is to be performed under the contract by an outside vendor not affiliated with Carroll County. The services must be done, procured within the state. The goals are to identify the existing broadband communication assets, products, and services in Carroll County and their locations, to identify current and future demand for broadband products and services in the county, and to provide a strategic guide and planning of broadband connectivity projects specific to the county that can be implemented as cost effectively and quickly as possible. And that's one of the things that we're really hoping this study is going to do for us, is as the state and federal governments in the future come out with funding for actual projects to be done, because of this study, we'll now be able to step up and say, hey, we've got this project here that we know we need to do in this area, and we'll be able to move forward. Right now, we don't have any plan like that at all.
Okay.
So we have to have the feasibility study to apply for extra funds from the state. and
That
federal
was,
government.
again, because this was being issued by the state's really trying to gather this information together from a statewide perspective so that they can go to the federal government and say, hey, we've got some really good projects here in the state of Maryland that we can move forward with. So yes, that's why we're doing the study, so that we make sure we're a part of that group and they know and we know exactly where we want to put fiber in the future. I know we have a general idea. Hopefully this will give us some real pockets that we'll be able to target as part of this process.
I got a pocket.
Commissioner Wance.
I got a pocket for you.
I think part of this is the reason we have fiber in cabins in West Virginia, because of federal, state dollars or federal money going into programs. So we need to get some of those into the cabins in Carroll County.
Sure.
The Rural Maryland Council is advertising a couple of grants that are out there now. And I had a conversation, completely separate conversation with
Sure.
others. I want to forward this to you because this grant may also be available for your use as well. Just take a look at that. And
Okay,
it's
I'll
a
take a look.
75, it's a 75-25 match, which is a lot better than 50-50. But if it could add onto opportunities for you
Okay.
through this, and it's got about a 50% success rate of those that are applying.
Okay,
So
I'll be happy to take a look at it.
Yeah,
Good.
RMC's been doing a lot of work on that.
There's, yeah.
They've really been pushing it, so, to try to
So-
light up these very rural areas. And
Right, and keep in mind that our Mako affiliate was very much involved in pushing so that Carroll County, the rural portions of Carroll County, get included in that. Because
Right.
initially, when the state set that up, we weren't included in any of
Right.
it because they didn't look at us as a rural county. But we've convinced them that we've got very rural
Yep.
sections that we need to be addressing.
And as
Talk
much
about
as,
the Wanch's district.
yeah, right. Yeah. And as much as I push, my good friend and colleague from Queen Anne's always reminds me, Commissioner, you got nothing, because 75% of Queen Anne's is dark. So, I get it, and then I just tell him to get away from me. So I get it, but it's a big push, and I appreciate the RMC and what they're doing too. So kudos on that. All right, any other questions on this? All right, we're going to need 2 motions in order to make sure that this happens. So apparently, because my district's in question, I move that the Board of Commissioners accept the 2020 Broadband Feasibility Studies Grant Award.
Second.
Any other questions on that motion? All in favor?
Aye. And I'll move the Board of Commissioners approve the budget transfer of $30,000 in matching funds from the Carroll County Fiber Network Expansion Project number 6603 to the Broadband Feasibility Study.
Thank you. And the next time will be before
Wait a
you.
minute. Hold on, Mark.
Hasn't been voted
I'm
on.
sorry.
We might vote it down. We might give you the grant and then not transfer the money. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that's not gonna happen. All right, Mark.
The next time I'll be before you is when we've issued the RFP and have gotten the responses back. We'll come back before you, asking for the award of the RFP, whoever the successful.
How long is the RFP process?
Probably gonna be a total of 6 to 8 weeks that we go through. here at the county. I have to actually get the RFP together. One of the things that I want you to know that we're going to be doing is that other counties in the state of Maryland have applied for this and gotten it. So we're going to be talking to each other. It may be possible for one county to actually put out the RFP for everybody, and then we can all purchase off of it, thinking that if we have a larger participation, that it might do better on pricing between all the counties, because not every step will have to be, done over and over and over again. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay, excellent.
Roberta, if you can send that slide deck to Mark, let him take a look at it. The Rural Coalition I sent the other day.
About the first site still, okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Mr. Ripper, I like to state before you leave, in light of the fact that local jurisdictions have been under attack on their internet services, I sincerely appreciate your staff and what you guys do every day to ensure that we are not under such adverse circumstances. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Knock on a couple doors as you go through too, will you?
Keep up the good job.
Thank you.
All right, exercise the option to purchase for the Knox Family LLC property through the Rural Legacy Program.
Morning, Commissioners.
Deb and
Morning.
JP.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You guys are two of the best people to show up in front of us.
Well, thank you.
Oh, thanks. Okay. So this is a property up on Harney Road. It's kind of wedged between Harney and Walnut Grove Road. It's owned by Knox Family LLC. And they are applicants to the Rural Legacy Program, which is, the Maryland Rural Legacy Program, which is run out of Department of Natural Resources.
That's up in that #1 district.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is in District 1.
Nope, like the way you said that.
#1.
So it's 97.4 acres, has 7 lot rights, and we are purchasing the easement for $411,670. That's $42.26 per acre. Here is the location. There are some mouth easements very close by, adjacent, and a county easement just up the road.
I ride my Harley past that property quite often. That's a nice road.
You do. It is. It's a very nice road. Both of those roads
It's a good
are
way to get up to Gettysburg.
very scenic, yes. So here's how it is situated with a preservation area up there. As you can see, there's a lot of preservation going on up there north of Tawnytown. Plenty of county easements nearby. This will be the first Rural Legacy easement in the area. So that'll be colored purple on our big map. Here's a couple.
Can you just go back to that last slide for a second?
Sure.
The property to the west of it, left of the line, is that available also for?
It would be eligible as long as it has development potential, yes. It looks like a good farm property. It's probably very similar to.
Yeah, again, just from this, it does, and it looks like
Yeah.
it would just be a good fit. I don't know if that's been marketed or if they've been addressed to look at it that way or not, so.
Well,
okay.
it'll be a donut hole that we'd be very interested in filling. If
Exactly.
If the owners become applicants, we'll be
Right.
very pleased. They will qualify as long as the soils are good. They probably are, since they're right next to this property. And as long as it has development potential,
Yeah.
they could be considered for the program.
It just
yes.
looks like a perfect fit.
Yeah,
Again, from this only, but yeah, okay,
Right.
thanks.
this is a view from Walnut Grove Road, looking northwest. You might have seen this, Commissioner Boucher.
I always
Might
look in the
look
woods for the
familiar
deer. I
to
like
you.
looking out there for the deer.
Well, they might be drinking in the stream here, so next time you go
Dodging
by.
bullets.
Hope not.
The stream runs very close to Walnut Grove Road, so be looking out there when you drive past there to your left. This is a view of the interior. There's a pond almost right in the center of the property. So we are asking for final approval for this project. Again, this is all Department of Natural Resources funding through a grant to us through the Rural Legacy Program.
Okay. Any questions? I'm gonna make the motion that we exercise the option to purchase through the RLP, the conservation easement on the Knox family on Harney Road.
Second. Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Why you guys are so easy to deal with. Love it.
Postcard country up there.
All right, open admin. What do we have for open admin?
I'd like to bring up two items. First would be, last year, the Board of Commissioners voted on to have Carroll County participate in Strawless Summer. I'd like to see if we would be interested in doing the same thing again. Strawless Summer basically says that if a restaurant wants to participate, and it's all voluntary, when someone comes in, they're not automatically given a straw. If they ask for a straw, they will receive one. For individuals to participate, when you go into a restaurant and they're asked what your order is for drinks or whatever it is, you say, I'll have whatever with no straw. That's all it entails. Anyone that wants a straw, needs a straw, ask for a straw, you'll get a straw. This is a completely voluntary program, but I also think it's an important program. We did it last year. We had some participation from restaurants and people as well. So if we're interested, I'd like to try to promote it again this year.
Our participation, just to, if I may, was mostly just that we promoted it.
Right,
We
right.
encouraged.
That's all we do.
We encourage
Just
it
encourage
because
restaurants
right.
and others
Yes,
to go
yeah,
strawless.
right. No
That
one's
was-
required to do
that was
anything.
it, yeah.
We just put the information out there. Carroll County is participating in Strawless Summer. And if restaurants want to sign on to it, or individuals want to say no straw, that's completely up to them.
What's the purpose? What are we trying to accomplish?
Less straws. Straws are the most abundant piece of trash in the ocean.
Wouldn't that have to do with individual behavior of polluting?
Yeah, it does. But this is just getting the word out there that you don't need a straw. You can.
I think the issue is individual behavior, not the straw. I mean, if people recycle, there's no need to have such a thing.
Okay.
Well, which is why I think we had this discussion last year, and again, we reiterated to everyone, this is completely voluntary. We're
No,
encouraging.
As long as
that-
we're not like mandating.
Yeah,
I
we're
can go
encouraging.
along with
Same way
this.
with the, interesting concept, Commissioner Boucher, because I quite frankly have a problem with the styrofoam ban, that they did. I think the state would be better focused on trying to come up with a way in which to recycle as opposed to outlawing it. All the resources should have been put towards that. How can we encourage that and enhance the ability to be able to recycle?
Yeah,
But yet
I-
we politically, or they, sorry, not we, they spend a whole lot of effort on the recycling.
Yeah, I just don't want us to feel good that we're doing something. In reality, we're not really doing anything. Because I think ultimately it's human behavior that's the issue, which I think Mr. Wance has alluded to there as well.
Yeah, it's what it's all about.
I mean-
I talked to 2 restaurant owners the other day that are completely replacing their styrofoam that they bought 15 cases of, to save some money because you get it in bulk. And now they're pinched, and one of them's talking about going out of business because of the continual amounts of mandates that are put down on small business.
Mhm.
It's absurd to
I agree.
me. Just change the way you do things and be smart instead of stupid.
It's like I
Yeah,
remember
it is one.
years ago, we had paper grocery bags. And they said, let's stop killing the trees, so we're doing away with the paper bags. Then they create the plastic bags, and now we got a plastic bag problem. It seems like we're chasing ourselves around and not really accomplishing anything. When ultimately it's human behavior.
And it goes back to, as you said, human behavior, because people just throw the stuff anywhere and it gets out all over the place. Straws are one that wind up floating down the river, floating down and going out into the bay or whatever, and they don't disintegrate. That's, I guess, our biggest issue, but it all does come back to human behavior. So I think we're just trying to encourage them not to,
All this is basically is more PR than anything else. Get the word out there. If you don't want to use a straw, please don't. And just because, like I said, there's the most abundant piece of trash in the ocean are straws. They don't break down. They're there forever. I guess they will break down eventually. They get eaten by the
Sea turtles?
Well, everything. Everything out there eats them, mistakes them for something else. Doesn't mandate anybody to do anything, but it does get the word out. It's another thing you'll see, and some restaurants put the strawless summer signs up in the windows or something, and you say, oh, maybe I don't need a
Is
straw.
it really an issue in this county?
Straws?
Yeah. The pollution of straws. I mean, I can go to another jurisdiction and see how their human behavior is, which is bad. And that's where things should be addressed. I don't think it's necessarily us or our citizens are throwing trash out on the streets.
Well, they are.
There's some. I think we should be geared more towards a public awareness of recycling and
But this is basically public awareness. That's what this is.
not using straws.
Yes.
I don't think that's the problem. I just
Okay.
think it doesn't do nothing.
Okay.
All right, well, what's the feelings of the board? You want-
So, my feeling is, I encourage recycling, I encourage, doing what's right, but I also, discourage over-regulating, the situations. And although I applaud the effort to minimize the use of straws and other things that don't recycle, and are polluting things, I feel like it's a movement towards regulation and over-regulating, all these issues. And I think I want to put my resources towards other activities than this. So I believe a public announcement encouraging not using straws, I believe having those discussions, but for the board to make a decision to not use something or encourage an action like that, I think is
What
not
resources
appropriate.
are we using for this?
I think the resources right now would be nothing except applauding the, businesses not using straws, or encouraging people not using straws, but I think that is a move in a direction that goes to regulating situations, and that's where we are with plastic bags and styrofoam, and I don't agree with it. I do not believe that we should continue to regulate. I think we should execute the laws that are there to stop pollution. That's what I believe. And until we're ready to do that, we shouldn't be adding more laws on top of laws to overregulate.
This has nothing to do with laws.
I believe it's in a direction going towards that. So, I discourage the board coming out and doing this because, again, it's a step towards over-regulating.
You want to make a motion, Dennis?
why don't you change your motion?
We didn't,
Haven't
well,
made
there
a
is no
motion.
motion
Oh,
yet.
This is open
Okay.
So there's
discussion.
just discussion.
What
right
would you
now.
suggest, Commissioner Weaver?
Eat more sea turtles.
Maybe just a statement, to stop the use of pollution, to encourage people to recycle and not use some of these things. Just a press release or something from the commissioners encouraging that.
That's basically all we did last year.
Yeah.
We just put out a press release encouraging people, identifying the difficulties with straws in the environment and what what impact they have, and encouraging people not to use straws.
I
That was-
understand,
that
but
was-
I just don't believe we should be specifying another action that's going to move legislation in a direction that I don't believe we should be going, and that's over-regulating. And I think that we should execute the laws that are there to stop pollution. And we're not doing very well at that, so.
What about if we just set out through our recycling department, please, just
Best practices.
Yeah, we do that anyway.
Yeah, we do that, but I mean, just an extra one. Summer's coming, please.
Yeah.
Please don't pollute.
recycle.
It's interesting, the other day, I noticed when it was windy out, a lot of people put their recycling out and don't cover the cans.
Yeah.
It's
And
recyclable.
they fell over.
Yep.
And there's stuff blowing all down. That's probably the biggest problem. So, anyway.
But I think that that's a better approach, as we're moving into summer, reminders for appropriate recycling and best practices, which could include, but it does not address specifically straws. And I understand the intent, and I applaud it because we're going after the same result. But I just think that we should enforce the things that we already have in place.
So just so you know, we are coming out with a series of 5 or 6 pieces of information that'll be published through all our normal media about recycling. It's such a big conversation, really, and it's morphed and changed over the 20, 30 years that people have been encouraged to recycle now. They've gone from, having to separate to single stream to what can you put in. You used to be able to put in plastic bags, now you can't anymore. So instead of doing one sort of massive thing that identifies a bunch of things in there, we're separating it into 5 or 6 different topics. So hopefully people will see it in more bite-sized forms that will be more clear and more pointed and more direct. So we are coming out
I understand, but I think
Yeah.
also educating and putting best practices, not just to individuals, but also to businesses and restaurants, to ensure that best practices are followed. And that would lessen the danger of straws into the environment. But to ban something or to discourage, and I'm not saying ban,
Right,
wrong
this-
word, but I think that's a motion. We're going to put something in motion that's going to go into that direction, and I just
I
don't
think all we're
agree.
putting in motion is getting more information out there, get more people realize what steps they can take. Everyone talks about let's educate, let's do, this is an educational piece. That's all this is. This is an educational piece. You don't need straws if you don't ask for them. You won't, they won't put them in your drink. And the fact is, even if you don't want a straw and they take a straw and they put it on your table and you don't use it, the straw gets thrown away. Once it hits the table, they can't take it back. So, I mean, it's just making people aware of things like that. And last time we did this, I got all kinds of emails. Well, I guess if we're worried about straws, we don't need to worry about this. It has nothing to do with that. This
Well, you're
is
always
just
gonna get them anyway.
right, but this is just.
I was looking for my box of straws.
I don't have
Yeah.
any props.
No, I agree with you. I agree
It
with-
doesn't regulate anything. It's all voluntary, but all it does is get the word out again, especially at summertime when people are out and about and with their straws and everything else. Okay, you don't need them.
I just don't think.
And there's reusable straws. There's all this
well,
other stuff. But anyway,
I think we've discussed it
Yeah,
to
we
the
did.
end. We're repeating ourselves
Yeah.
now, with all due respect. You got a motion? Or you wanna just let it go?
I think I see the way the board is going. So I'll make the motion anyway. Make a motion that Carroll County go with or endorse strawless summer.
Is there a second? Hearing none?
Okay.
I think our discussion may have prompted those to pay attention to strawless anyway. So we'll
Good
be at
point.
that.
All right.
All right, what else for Open Avenue? You had another thing.
Had one other
Mr.
thing.
Frazier?
Hope it goes over better than the first one.
We still love you, Dennis.
I've suggested that during the summer on Fridays, that basically Carroll County, from 3 o'clock on Fridays, which are, I think, 13 Fridays, so we're looking at 26 hours, that we, basically, employees are allowed to leave at 3 o'clock on Fridays. Each individual department would have to work out how this works, because there are people that have to be there at certain times and all that kind of stuff, but that's up to them to decide. Go ahead.
Okay, may I?
Yes,
So
go ahead.
the suggestion is that we close county government
Okay.
at 3 o'clock on
3 o'clock
Fridays. And then how that works for any particular individual, because we have various schedules. But everyone would get to leave at 3 o'clock or 2 hours early from their workday.
Right.
And we'll work out those details.
Right,
Individual schedules.
we're not looking at giving any additional pay, so much as well, I'll work anyway, and I'll just take, no, it's not like that. It's 2 hours on a Friday during the summer, which, by the way, are the most unproductive times ever for workers, Fridays, afternoon, and summer. barely get anything done. Not our guys, but, other people. But it's the most unproductive time anyway. Just a gesture to our employees, thank you for everything that you're doing. And other companies that have done this have actually found that productivity has gone up in their company during summer because they're giving the employees 2 hours off on Fridays.
What companies have done this?
So
Private.
you can go to the
It's-
internet and find out, there's a
it's-
lot of
Oh,
jobs
okay.
that do that.
Private industry, I
Yeah.
think, has focused on this, and that's where my problem lies. I mean, I think there are so many essential services. I understand what you're saying, and I get it. Private industry, I think that's a great gesture, but government for me is a little bit different. And while I'd love, and you all know that I go to the nth degree for all of our employees and do what we can for them. I'm challenged by that a little bit because it's government services, and that's where I have an issue.
I have to agree with Commissioner Wance, but I also like the concept of closing early, because as an employer, I've done this. The 2 hours bothers me. I'd be willing to compromise and do a 1 hour. 2 hours seems a bit much if we closed up an hour early.
So I've experienced this as well in government, both at the agency and then also when I ran the installation. We used to have a term we used to call 59 minutes, which meant everybody leave, and it was actually an hour early. It was very effective. It wasn't scheduled except by the leadership on when those things would happen. And it definitely was a motivator. You do it a lot during the holiday seasons and during the summers. I'm not adverse to doing this. There is risk associated with shutting down government 13 weeks for 2 hours, even though it is only 26 hours. Maybe an idea is we start with the process and we start with, say the first 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And if it's working strongly, and 4 weeks, we just make the judgment call and continue to sustain it for the rest of the
Two.
summer. You know what I
With
mean?
the 2 or the
So
1
instead
hour?
of taking the whole chunk
Yeah, I
at
understand what you're
once,
saying. Yeah.
let's just go for the first 4 weeks and accept that risk. If it works, we continue to move up forward. If it doesn't, we revert back to the regular hours.
So with that thought in mind, would you start in June, or would you maybe declare the month of July, which is typically the high vacation month, and do it, is there 4 Fridays in July? I don't know, I'm just suggesting a way to do it.
And
That sort of phases it in and gives it still the message that we're attempting to send
Right.
here, but just focus on maybe the high, because July is typically the month that people are here, there, and everywhere, right, or not? I don't know.
Tax bills go out.
Yeah, that's true, in July
That's-
they do.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Tax
how-
office isn't concerned about it.
Yeah. But for our senior population, that's a very valid point, because they have to get in here and pay their bills. So, that's just, it's all these things that go
Right.
to the thought
I understand.
process when it comes to government services.
I understand.
If we were Fraser and Wance, or would it be Wance and Fraser Industries? Which way would it be?
Pretty sure it'd be Fraser Wayne.
Okay, whatever, anyway.
attorneys at law.
Alphabetical discrimination.
Exactly, yeah. I could see it. I've got a problem when it comes to public service and government services. That's a very tough call for me. And maybe that's because of my background, because I wouldn't be eligible for this anyway, because we were considered, what's the term?
Essential.
Essential employees. But so I've never had.
It's hard to believe, but okay.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And though our employees might be happy, I think Commissioner Wance
You're not
brings up a
helping your
very good
argument.
point. We could have constituents get upset with us that they show up at 4 o'clock on Friday to pay a bill and we're closed.
Well, we would definitely, the key to this, any kind of non-standard closure, whether it's for an emergency purpose or planned, is notice. And that's why I say, certainly senior staff has already been asked. They don't see any concerns with operating under this rubric if this was the board's decision, as long, and this is really important, as long as there's proper notice to the public. So that's why we'd have to use all of our methods of communicating to the
That's why-
constituents outside there.
Notice or
that we are
not, people are
closed
creatures of
in a
habit.
different way.
That's why I'm suggesting that July might be the better fit, because you know, you've got the 5th, which can we say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without, you know, you
Yeah.
giving me,
No, I'm not gonna give you a stink eye, I promise.
okay, so we've already suggested that we close on July the 5th to give that long weekend to employees, so we've got that covered.
Well, we didn't suggest, we directed.
We directed.
Yes.
Okay, right. And then there'd be 3 other Fridays in July where we could do that, to see how it would go. I think if you start in June, it's just, I mean, June's gonna be here in 2 weeks.
Right. And the value in starting in July, that is the beginning of the fiscal year.
1 week.
And the challenges we have with our budget right now, not being able to provide all of the funds that we wish we could provide, this is, again, a strong gesture to support our workforce. So if we started 1 July fiscal year and go through July, but then also may have the ability, which we would, to make that judgment call to continue through August, the rest of the summer, or
Or not.
So if I could make a motion that we start 1 July or July, whatever it is, not 5th, but 12th,
would be
having the 2-hour workday being, you know, whatever,
2 or
government,
1, 2 or 1.
government ends at,
We'll say 2 hours early, let's just.
well, I was saying 2, but I mean, that's, I believe 3 to 5, I believe a 3 o'clock, but if you want to have that continued discussion, my motion is for 3 o'clock.
For 3 o'clock and for
Right.
July.
July,
So you do 12, 19, and 26.
correct,
And then we'll see where it is.
Correct.
For how it's going, and maybe
Yep.
push it into August, but
Yep.
at least on a trial basis, do 3 to 5 in July.
correct. So we're really, what we're talking about is 6 hours.
And then essential, like our
They get 2 hours.
911 operators and
Right.
all those folks would just get administrative leave to be used at their
Right.
discretion.
Right.
And what does that mean? What kind of hoops do they have to jump through to use
No.
2 hours of administrative leave?
Nothing more than any other time they try to take off, so.
Okay.
They have no additional restrictions,
Well, this is sort of groundbreaking. I don't know of any other government entity that's ever done this. I know private
I-
industry has.
I
The
actually,
federal government.
We have.
Have they?
Yeah,
Federal
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 government.
government does it all the time.
Do they?
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
They
In
did it-
fact, I mean, yes, we do.
Okay.
I mean,
All
just
right,
leave
well,
it
then
that.
I'll back out of that.
Yes.
I'll second that motion. Not the backing out part, but
If they leave early, they can't use straws.
6 hours, okay.
I was gonna bring the straws
Stop.
into it. No straws in July while this isn't, but okay.
Any further pertinent discussion?
So, why don't you incorporate into that, we're gonna allow July the 5th to be taken off as well, and then we got it.
And authorizing that the government closes on
Official.
5 July as well.
Can't
Okay.
second that
So, 5 July off, you second that, right,
Yes.
Commissioner Frazier? 5 July off, and July 12, 19, and 26, 2 hours out early.
Yep.
To be revisited at appropriate time.
Yeah.
Okay?
And,
Mo-
oh, go ahead.
Gotcha. Motion and second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous. Yeah, and we'll
Okay.
be, just so if folks are hearing this, we'll be pushing out what, all the, how it works,
Correct.
details to staff, before then, so that they know. Because we have the non-standard schedules, everyone will be taken care of. We just have to work out the
Okay.
details and let them know
Sounds
what that
good.
is.
Yeah, this is more challenging than what it appears.
I'm sure people would be very, very appreciative. Thank you.
Okay.
For considering it.
Anything else for open admin, except, I know we have agendas yet. Anything else? All right, we're going to agendas. A
You've been
reminder-
patiently waiting for us.
A reminder that the offices will be closed on Monday, May the 27th, to observe Memorial Day. On Tuesday, the 28th, it's Breakfast with Dennis at the Westminster branch of the library, and that's at 8 a.m. At 10,
I'll attend that as well. Sorry about that.
At 10 a.m., we're going to open, and 10 a.m. is budget adoption. Now, I know Are we gonna?
We're gonna change it to 11 to accommodate a commissioner who.
Okay.
I have an issue
Yeah.
with my wife in medical.
Yep,
family.
no.
I might talk for a long time in the morning, so you know how I am. I'm very long-winded, so I can just stretch that out forever.
Keep moving.
So I
Fam-
appreciate that.
Yep, family first.
Roger.
So we will be starting our budget adoption at 11 a.m. on
Mhm.
Tuesday, the 28th. Also that evening is Senator Katie Hester has a town hall meeting in Sykesville, and Commissioner Rothstein will be
I will,
attending that. Where is that, Ed?
It's at the distillery, Patapsco Distillery, downtown.
I will
Sykesville.
attend that as well. She's also a senator.
All right, Wednesday, the 29th, the Maryland Crime Information Network briefing and lunch, myself and Commissioner Rothstein at 11 a.m. At 2 p.m. is the commencement reception for Carroll Community College. That's at McDaniel. 4 of us attending that.
Right.
And at 3 p.m. is the commencement, and the same 4. 6 p.m. Planning and Zoning, Commissioner Rothstein. And 6:30 p.m. that evening is Heroin Still Kills, the Finksburg branch, and that's Commissioner Boucher.
And I may attend, I don't.
I'd appreciate it.
Thursday, the 30th, we go into open with third quarter budget update briefing from Management and Budget, approval for use of not in Carroll funding, after-school programming from the Health Department, children's training grant application from Citizen Services, pavement testing and rehab, Public Works, Circuit Court Family Law Administration, Family Services grant. That's the Department of it's Carroll County Circuit Court, Department of Management and Budget. Human Resources has a briefing discussion and possible decision on employee salary increases for FY20. Employee bonuses for FY20. Why
Just
are
to
those?
lay out, there are various options. I mean, you said 3% for the one and 1% if it stays in the budget through the process. But
Okay.
it's exactly how that mix is
Okay.
distributed.
Okay. And then we have Woodside Restoration Project discussion. And then we go in for closed land that day as well. 4 p.m. is the Crawford Yingling Insurance 100th Anniversary Celebration. Wance, Rothstein, Weaver, and Frazier attending. That's at 5 p.m. in downtown Westminster. 6 p.m. is CC Visa Graduation EST program, Commissioner Frazier. On Friday the 31st, June 1st, Eagle Scout ceremony in Manchester, myself, and then at 4 p.m. is the Church of the Ascension 175th Anniversary Celebration. That's Commissioner Frazier. Commissioner Weaver has the Commissioner's Report, and also on the 2nd is the Westminster Rescue Mission fundraiser. I'll be attending that at 3 p.m. That's a fun event, by the way. Little
Is that
commercial
open to
on
the
that.
public, or do you have to have it?
Yeah, it's open to the public, so.
You might want to describe it if you have.
Yeah, so.
'cause it sounds very different.
There are 4 chefs from various places in Carroll that come in. It's sort of like Master Chef, if you will, if you've ever watched that. They say go, they run into the pantry, grab all that they can, come out and cook what they've gotten out of the pantry at the rescue mission. And then there's judging of that said food preparation.
Are you judging?
That's right.
All right. Sounds like a good gig.
Yeah, it's a good gig.
Especially
so.
the crab.
All right, that's that week. Week the 3rd starts graduation ceremonies. Monday the 3rd, Man Valley High School graduation. Myself and Commissioner Weaver. That's at 7 p.m. at McDaniel. Tuesday, June the 4th, Francis Scott Keys graduation. Myself at 7 p.m. Wednesday the 5th, Special Olympics trek from the Farm Museum. It's Commissioner Rothstein. Boy, there are so many things I want to say. Then at noon is the ceremony on the front steps of the Emerald Hill.
And we'll both be there.
And we'll both
I'll
be there. 6 p.m. is Planning and Zoning. I assume you're going to be there, Commissioner Rothstein?
I am not, because
I'm
Century High School
I'm assuming wrong,
graduation.
because Century High School graduation at 7 p.m.
Correct.
Will anybody else be attending?
No.
Probably not.
No.
Thursday the 6th, opening remarks at the liquor license inspector training, Commissioner Weaver. You do the good job of that, apparently. You've done that for several years now. They've nicely done.
This is the 3rd year they've done
Third
it.
year with that. And by the way, that is training for anybody that has the license in Carroll County, and it is well attended. It has stopped the citations and the issues they had to deal with. It's through education that they educate everybody who sells alcohol, and it really has a positive benefit to Carroll County.
Definitely.
Okay, and at 9:30 is the Carroll County Realtors Legislative Update Panel, Commissioners Rothstein and Boucher. At 1 p.m., are we going to open? Senior grant application, operating budget transfer for Carroll County Public Schools, fuel island modifications through Public Works, and community legacy grant application for the library.
I have one concern. At 1 o'clock, they also have something going on by the fountain.
Proclamation presentation,
What?
the 29th Infantry,
Yes.
that you
That's it.
have on this. But my understanding is that Delegate Shoemaker is providing a proclamation to the 29th Infantry Division here in the building. Are we
Well,
participating
it'd
in
be
that
nice if
or
you could
not?
tell us that.
Well,
We
give
don't
a-
know anything about it.
We give a proc to them every year. We've done that for the last 4
I-
years.
I-
We heard about it
I
at the
understand.
Veterans
I'm just sharing
Council,
that it was discussed.
By the
Correct.
fountain, though?
It was
But you might
dis-
want to reach out to Delegate Shoemaker and just maybe coordinate things a little bit here.
Ensure that we deconflict and we do this
Yeah.
together would be a nice gesture. Okay.
And I'll see him tomorrow night. If I can remember to mention it, I'll
Okay.
Yeah, it's,
Okay,
try
Yep.
to.
okay, we'll work that out,
Yep.
but typically that's done here in session.
Mhm.
6 p.m., PM Connections, Boys and Girls Club, Commissioner Boucher. Westminster High School graduation is at 7 p.m. That's Commissioner Weaver. South Carroll's at the same time, Commissioner Boucher. Oh, no,
No, it can't be.
7 p.m. Wait a minute, that
It's on
can't be
Friday.
right.
No, it's Friday.
Oh, yeah, that's
Before it was
Thursday.
Thursday, now it's Friday.
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 Friday, 7 p.m., South Carroll, Commissioner Boucher. Saturday, 1 p.m., Liberty, Commissioner Rothstein. 7 p.m., Winters Mill, Commissioner Wance.
No, but I think I'll be there.
Sunday, the 9th.
No, I won't be there. Sorry, scratch that. It's on the wrong day.
You're as confused as I am, Weaver.
That's getting bad.
That's scary.
We're almost
I know.
there, Sunday, isn't it?
Commissioner Frazier has the Commissioner's Report, and Food Truck Sunday Fun Day is at the Carroll County Farm Museum that day at noon. Anyone that wants to roll into there, it's always a good event.
You buying lunch?
Yes. I attended last year, it's a good time.
Yeah, so I won't be there, so anyway. Anything else for agendas? Okay, if not,
Make a motion
anything
to
else
recess
open
till
admin?
1.
If not, we are gonna recess till 1,
Motion to recess till 1.
Second.
and are we up here?
yes, here.
And we're here, okay. We are recessed till 1.
Got a ton